what's going on out there? Well, apparently I have nobody in the comments, but that doesn't really... Oh, I have one person. But that doesn't really bother me. I'm going to do this live stream anyways. So, whatever. If you listen to it later, you listen to it later. What's going on, Dex? Thanks for tuning in. Don't feel bad if you got to tune out. Anyways, yesterday, what did I talk about? I talked about the Minneapolis protests, right? In this video, we're going to talk about basically what's in the title, or if somebody comes in and they want to talk about something else, we can talk about that. I don't really have any firm rules for what I'm doing with this YouTube channel that nobody watches. But yesterday, I was talking about the Minneapolis protesters. We got into some pretty deep stuff. You know, we talked about that whole, whatever her name is, Renee Good or whatever. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it gets so much worse here. Because we have Don Lemon, who's invading a church. These people that are rioting are freaking terrifying. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, you don't know what to expect. You got a dude walking down the street. Some other guy starts yelling at him. You know, it is what it is. Nobody, I don't understand. In a lot of these leftist cities, I don't understand it. I don't understand how you can live there. And was it lots and lots of radicals being made from this? Yeah, man. I mean, look, this is a reality. The harder you go one way and you try to pull people in that direction, the harder they're going to go the other way. I've come to realize this. You know, we as people, right? I'm going to state this again. This is like the third time I've stated this. What we're all doing is we're talking past each other. Okay? Somewhere along the lines, everybody got radicalized from social media into people that just debate everything. And all this does is cause division. That's what the ruling class wanted. That's what, you know, the rise of white supremacy in social media, that's what the rise was really all about. It was just dividing people after the great financial crisis. And, you know, we've turned into these people that just talk past each other because we think we're going to say something to the other person that changes their mind. And an example I always use on this is, say, the war on drugs, guns, whatever it is. I can sit there with a person bringing up the CIA drug running, how, you know, they've been indoctrinated, how it skirts the Constitution, all of these things, right? My family, for instance, no matter how much I sit there and I go, weed is not as bad as alcohol, they will not believe me. And this is family. And then they'll argue with me. And, you know, I just realized at a certain point, there's no magic words. I think the left believes that they're magic words that'll convert people to your thinking. And that's what it's become, intolerance of other people's opinions. And now you're in a situation, I mean, I don't know how big of an area. Minneapolis is probably a big city. So where are these people really? I'm not there, you know? But the fact that you'll see it in this video, I'm just going to get into it because, I mean, this is absolutely infuriating. I'm not a Christian, but I will tell people this. If you ask me my worldview, it's probably far closer to the Christian worldview than it is to anything on the left. Not that I'm really just, it is what it is, man. I'm actually probably kind of liberal, to be honest with you. It's just these people are fucking communists. But yeah, let's get into this because I want to comment on it because this is just ridiculous.
Let's cover 10 pro tips for working with the cursor agent. So I've got cursor open and my agent on the right. And
when you pull people off the street and you start dragging them and hurting them and not abiding by the Constitution, when you start doing all of that, people get upset and angry.
All right, that's not what I wanted. I want to see this little cunt here.
Former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been warned by the Justice Department over allegations he joined a swarm of anti-ICE protesters who burst into a Minnesota church in the middle of Sunday service and accused a pastor of working with ICE. Lemon, who has been documenting the increasingly violent protests following the shooting of Renee Nicole Good, live-streamed himself alongside demonstrators with the Racial Justice Network storming into the city's church in St. Paul, Minnesota, as they called out resident pastor David Eastwood, whom they accused of moonlighting as the acting field office director for ICE in the North Star State.
I mean, with just this little bit here. Okay. Again, we talk about the narrative and how there's two different worlds here. So from their world, assisting ICE is this like negative thing. And then they're going to argue forth as if this is reality. Not understanding, right? If I'm sitting across from them, and just a hypothetical, sitting at a table talking to them about our differences, right? And they say, you work for ICE, right? And I go, yeah. Yeah, no, I do. What's your point? See, from their worldview, they view me as rounding up innocent Americans. These people are not, from my worldview, I look at it and I go, these people are illegal immigrants and they're not supposed to be here. But neither one of us wants to hear the other side. And these people are dangerous and they're violent. And I wouldn't want to be around any of them. For the reason that, listen, man, we're not always going to agree on everything. But we can't be fist fighting over bullshit that doesn't affect us.
A David Eastwood is listed as an employee with the local field office. However, the Post could not independently confirm whether he was the same person who heads up City's church. Eastwood was not at the Sunday service. Some service disruptors chanted slogans heard at the dozens of other protests that have wreaked havoc around Minneapolis, while others specifically slandered Eastwood for supposedly misrepresenting the ideals of his faith through his support for ICE.
Who are these people to tell anybody how to practice their faith? These people are so intolerant. And look at this smug cunt right here. I would not be able to deal with this dude in a nice way. Don Lemon is such an arrogant fucking... Dude, I don't understand how this guy is anything. Like, really, let's sit back for a second and let's talk about Don Lemon. How is this guy famous? How was he on CNN? Like, if I at least want somebody in the mid-wit range that can convince me they're an intelligent person to digest this story for. But yet, somehow, Don Lemon, who's worth millions of dollars after he got fired from CNN, this guy is a fame whore, right? If I got fired from CNN, I would have just started a podcast. Whoever wants to listen can listen. I would talk about basically the same shit I talk about now. If I got fired from CNN, I would go full Tucker Carlson and just go, I'm doing my own podcast and my own interviews now. And that's what I want to do. And but this guy is like, went from CNN reporter to man on the street.
Lemon spoke with the congregation's lead pastor, Jonathan Parnell, who said the bombardment was shameful.
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
The Department of Justice is probing the...
In that clip I watched earlier, Don Lemon tried explaining that everybody has a First Amendment right. And I agree. But here's where your First Amendment ends. Walking in to somebody else's church and interrupting their services. You don't have the right to do that. I don't know where this guy got that from.
Demonstration at the church for potential violation of civil rights laws, specifically for interfering with Christian worshipers, according to a post on X. Harmeet Dillon, the Justice Department's Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, chided Lemon on social media. A house of worship is not a public forum for your protests. It is a space protected from exactly such acts by federal, criminal, and civil laws, nor does the First Amendment protect your pseudo-journalism of disrupting a prayer service. You are on notice, she wrote. In a follow-up post, she noted that the FBI has been activated and accused the protesters of desecrating a house of worship. Lemon has dismissed calls for him to be prosecuted for joining in with the group, and
Jesus Christ, this...
This is the Mercy Capital Court, powered by artificial intelligence.
I didn't hurt her.
We don't do flashy ads.
Jesus
we just
Christ.
Make taxes affordable.
Fuck off,
with
you
Randy
two.
Smart Tax.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building. You don't want us to unless you're here to worship. Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to.
You serious? You know if you say that, you know you're going to hell in.
Yeah, okay. So, basically, dude, basically, this guy goes in there, interrupts. What's going on, brother? How you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. This guy basically goes in there and, yeah, me too. I live in a constitutional carry state. You know, again, like, I don't know what these people expect, right? They seem to want you to just stand there while they abuse you and hurl insults at you. Like, it's basically like, hey, you're the misbehaving child, and the liberals are going to, and I'm just using liberals as a stand-in because I don't really know what label I would give these people. I don't want to say they're progressives because, I mean, this is how all movements work. Every movement, every bureaucracy, every company will be hijacked by a psychopath at some point. Okay? Organized hierarchical systems encourage psychopathy, right? But no, I'm like, I don't know what term I should even use for these people. They yeah, still holding the silver short. Oh God, there's going to be a fight in the comments now. I can't wait. But yeah, you have Don Lemon. He's going in there and, you know, like, just the guy is so fake. How did this human become famous? Right? I don't get it. It's like I've talked about this almost ad nauseum on my shitty podcast. I don't understand why anybody is famous anymore. I don't understand. Is there actually people that go, oh, Don Lemon put out his latest videos. Don Lemon live on the scene one day ago. 361,000 views. Right? Who went, oh, you know what I need? I need to get my news from Don Lemon. Like who watches this? I don't get it. I mean, I'll watch him for being a clown, but... And then accused of interrupting church services, but I'm black and Don Lemon in total meltdown as FBI... Oh, I got to hear this. Oh, this has got to be good.
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for...
Did you? Is that what you did, JT? All right. We got to see what... I want to see...
Entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice.
Notice how all these professional liars, right? Notice they all have media training, right? So what he's setting up there, and I probably clicked on the wrong video. I'll tune off of this guy's commentary. But what he did there is he goes, that's not the Christianity I practice. Now, you as the listener, a lot of times are going to go, oh, so what he's saying is these guys aren't really Christian. Who the fuck is Don Lemon to tell anybody how to worship their God? My attitude on all of it is, as long as it's consensual, as long as it's between adults and everybody knows what's going on, it's all good. But when did Don Lemon become a religious scholar? I can't wait to listen to this bullshit. And this Botoxed up, I don't know who this woman is supposed to be, why I'm supposed to listen to her with her aggressive, sexually frustrated personality because she can't get her husband to knock the bottom out of it because she's been emasculating him from the first day that they met. I could only imagine how emasculating this bitch would be. Like to the point where if I was on the Oregon Trail, right? We're going to Oregon. I don't know where we're coming from. Maybe like Massachusetts or something, right? And this woman was on the trail. And I had to listen to her for 3,000 miles across the United States. I would have found the nearest grizzly bear and charged at it just on foot, screaming so the thing mauls me to death, because I think it would be a slightly less painful... No, it wouldn't be slightly. It'd be a much more painless death than having to live with this woman and talk to her. This woman is an awful.
But I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And
entitled to what? To worship? You racist little bitch? Like, what do you mean by that? They're entitled. Why? Because they don't want you in the group? Nobody wants Don Lemon in their group. Except these losers, because they just want numbers.
And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom.
Right. It's a Christian nation, dipshit. You should try reading the founders' beliefs. They were at a minimum deists, okay? And what are you talking about? Like, it was mostly Europeans. I'm not going to get into the whole fucking history of it. This is 200 years ago, and we live in 2025 or 2026.
Freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%.
What freedoms does this effeminate little cuck not have? What freedoms does Don Lemon is one of the most privileged human beings on the planet. He's married to a white man.
But it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand.
I can't even get through this. It's an intimidation tactic that they asked you to leave their church where you were being... Like, I don't get it. I really just... I get that this is a money thing and outrage sells, But I'm not getting why, like, does Don Lemon really think this? Right? This is the tough call you have. Okay? Does Don Lemon really believe what's coming out of his mouth? He's a paid propagandist. He has media training. And so, I mean,
how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist, I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning.
You were the only name there, right? Nobody respects you.
You know, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
It has nothing to do with your race. It has nothing to do with your sexuality, Don. It's the fact that you have over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. It's the fact that you have a huge global following, thanks in part to your former career at CNN. And you chose to broadcast this attack on a Christian church in St. Paul live.
We got to watch. We got to find that video where Don Lemon... See. What is this woman's name? God, I hate YouTube. What is that woman's... What is that? Does anybody know that Botoxed up woman's name? Let's do some comments before they get out of control. All right. Lots and lots of radicals. Glad I live. Yep. What's up? He's holding the silver short. No, real question. Yes, I'm averaging down. All right. Easiest short ever. Good luck. All right. Don Lemon break any laws, though? Didn't they just go to the church and ask questions? Yeah, but what I'm saying is you don't have a right to go in there and not leave when asked. I don't know, like, the legality of what he did. That's not something that I would know. What I'm saying, what my main point about Don Lemon is, and again, this entitlement culture, my main problem with him is just the way he went in there, smug, and they act like if you reject them and you don't want to be around them, it's racism or whatever. Don Lemon's a fucking loser. Why would anybody hang out with this dude? You know, again, I'm really not here to question the legality. I'm really just here to trash Don Lemon. Because, I mean, he's such an awful person. Jesus told me that is the arbiter of faith, actually. Oh, all right. Well, I stand corrected. We need Don Lemon. Like, all these people, they want to be worshipped. And it's such a strange thing as a guy who doesn't really like praise. Don Lemon on podcast. Let me see if we can get this. Might have to react to him and this woman. All right, so who's this? Hot takes. Racist, kinda racist. Let's see who's in here. These fucking losers.
Whether you're a professional...
Jennifer Welch. All right. Don Lemon. Don Lemon on Jennifer Welch. Now, let me see if who is this skank and why does anybody think that anybody wants to listen to her? I've had it, goes dark woke. These people are so goddamn lame. Podcast. If I can't find it, I'll do something else in a second. I've had it. Let's see. See if we can get Don Lemon in here. Ah, here we go. I found it. Dude, these people are all so lame.
The Trump administration has a huge problem with the First Amendment. Kylie put up this tweet from little DL Queen Benny Johnson. Breaking, DOJ announces intention to charge Don Lemon under the Ku Klux Klan Act. I want to remind everybody that Don Lemon is a black man, and today is Martin Luther King Day. And I have to join us right now none other.
What does the color of his skin have to do with the actions that he took? Again, I don't understand the legality of what's going on, but who is this woman? Like, why is she like in the news? Ooh, she went dark woke. Uh-oh. Who is this? Jennifer Welch. Okay, this Botoxed up old bitch. I've had it podcast. Angie Pumps Sullivan. They are from Oklahoma City. Oh, they were on a Bravo series. So here's what happened, in my opinion. This woman got plucked from obscurity to be almost like a Dana Lash type, Ice Queen answer to the Republican Ice Queen.
Then best friend of iHip News, Don Lemon. Don, how did you hear about this?
I heard of someone texted me and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm really sorry that you're going through this." And I said, "Going through what?" Because I've been traveling all night. I was in Minnesota, and that. I'm not saying that I would assault Don Lemon. I abhor violence, but this dude has a really punchable face. I don't know what is so punchable about it, but it just is. That's how I heard about it, but I have not heard anything from anybody, DOJ officially. I've just heard lots of people just yapping, on either the internet, on social media, or on conservative, podcasts or Fox News.
All right, so walk us through this. You went to Minnesota. You're an independent journalist. I'm sure everybody's abundantly clear with your work. And you are reporting on all of these ICE protests, and you end up at a church. Is that what this is regarding?
Yeah. So I went to Minneapolis to cover the unrest there. And I got I was asking people what's going on the ground. I'm going to get there. Should I go directly to the Whipple, whatever? And they said, well, there is this thing.
The Jeffrey Epstein pedophilia ring. It's very alarming. But I took from your Instagram, you interviewed this pastor, and let's watch this together.
Oh, yeah, let's watch it
and
together.
Get your take on what was going on. Play the clip.
What do you think of this? I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest. Yeah.
Why do all these smug liberals think that you need them to explain anything? Don Lemon, I would really be surprised if his IQ is even 100. To be honest with you, I think if you gave this dude an IQ test, I don't think it's 100. I think Don Lemon is a fucking moron, right? And it's like, all I would say to this dude, if he was trying to get in my face and he touched me like he's touching this guy, is, Don, I'm just going to tell you this one more time. If you don't want to touch me again, okay, don't put your fucking hands on me. But this dude thinks he can just put his hands on this other man.
We're here to worship worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
He didn't push you. You're leaning into his personal space. And I know that the reason why he's leaning into his personal space is to get a reaction out of this dude. So you're leaning into his personal space and you want to push him away. Like, dude, I would just take a step back and go, don't invade my space again, dude.
Jesus, that's why we're here. Okay, that's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Do you think Jesus would be understanding and
we're about
love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked if you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to
Unless you're here to
chronicle
worship. Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. We're here to
No, he's not. He's not a Christian.
worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Why I get triggered when someone gives me unsolicited advice. When I was younger, it came.
Yeah.
Weird to me that he's all about, this is the type of Christianity I grew up around. Recruiting, but not helping, not comforting, not providing, like these people.
I can't even, who said that was their job? I'm not getting it. I don't understand it. What are you guys talking about now? Classic. Dude, 100%. Jennifer Welch, again, I'm just speculating. I'm not going to sit here and say that I know anything. Here's what I think happened. I think she's a super liberal fame whore, right? Again, wants to impose her narrative on everything. Because that's liberalism. It just is, right? She wants to impose her narrative on everything. And she's getting paid a lot of money to spread propaganda. And I think what happened with her was she started a podcast, talked to somebody, and they're like, yeah, we're going to throw the media machine behind you. Because I don't... let me see this. I've had it... How many subs? 1.5 million subs. I've had it podcast. It started in 2022, right? Now, again, I don't want to sound... Here's the thing that I've noticed about a lot of YouTubers. So, when I was talking about this last night, how the landscape has kind of changed in podcasting. It's much harder to get a lot of subs today. So anytime in a short period of time, somebody gets a lot of subs, I get suspicious. And it seems like so on this video, she has 3,593 comments on 311,000 views. That doesn't make sense to me. Her likes are 26,000. Maybe it's easier to get a like than a comment. But normally, the way I understood it is generally your comments will be 10 to 20% of generally your views, maybe something like that. Or maybe your likes are going to be about 10% and 1% will be comments. But I don't know, just on 300,000 views, 3,593 comments seems light to me. But again, I don't really know how the algorithm works or really even care to find out that much. But I don't trust any of this. I don't think any of it's organic. And, it is what it is, but like I can just see the anger on that woman. And, if you do notice something on the more conservative channels, they don't talk about the other side the way liberals do. Now, Conservatives will call them stupid. Again, this is our worldviews colliding. But yeah, that chick makes no sense to me. And let's be honest about it. Who would want to be friends with these people? Like, would you want to be friends with these two? So that, you know, whatever you say, they're constantly analyzing your speech. It's just not fun. And I'm going to show this clip. It's from the Jimmy Dore show. Now, I'm not a big fan of this woman. I don't think she's a good comedian. But on Jimmy Dore's show...
Looking youthful, less tired.
And we are tired.
You know, we don't believe in gender, but we need a female president. You're like, huh? And then it's like...
I mean, that's a perfect example of like a totally logical critique you would make, but you would be ostracized just for saying that. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show, everyone. I'm your guest host, Chris Keene, sitting in for Jimmy. He's on tour in Hawaii right now. Whitney Cummings went on Joe Rogan. This clip went viral on social media. She kind of got into...
What did she do now?
What'd she do now, Kurt? Well, she got into talking about how she used to be a liberal and always felt like she belonged in that community, and how that has sort of changed over the past few years. And for me, I've...
This is why, to be honest with you, I don't really understand why anybody is really friends with progressives. These are the most intolerant people on the planet.
That same thing happened to me. I've been a liberal my whole life. I voted Democrat all my life. And over the past 5 to 10 years, I really don't know where I belong anymore. And I think that's happened to a lot of people. Let's hear what Whitney had to say.
But as someone who I feel like is similar to you, and then I'm like, I was as liberal. I had blue hair, you guys. Like
yeah, I remember when you had blue hair.
I rescued.
I also used to have blue hair. That is also something.
Did you have blue hair?
I did. Yes, and I weighed about 300 pounds.
What is wrong with you that you would have done that with your hair? Like what?
Well, I was a big fat kid, and everyone made fun of me. So I thought, let's make it worse. Let's.
You thought you'd dye your way out of being fat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What some people do with tattoos.
That's a great dye your way out of being fat. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. All right.
Pit bulls. Like it doesn't get any more liberal than me. Like it doesn't get any more. But the whole idea with being liberal is like you had me at, we're not racist. Everyone's equal.
Right.
But you know, diversity. But then it turns into diversity.
Communism.
Diversity, but not diversity of thought.
Right.
Right.
Right. All the diversity in the world, but not diversity of thought. I lost every friend I had my whole life in 2020 because of things like this.
Well, if they told you it was cool to dye your hair blue, they weren't your friends. That's why.
Yeah, I would have to say to this guy, if those people are going to turn on you because you don't agree with them, they're not your friends. That's not how that works. You know, and then it's one of the things that drove me away from stand-up comedy is just the way they were.
Chris, I'd have been like, don't do that, dude. I'd tell you not to get a tattoo neither.
That they were cool with. It's just if you disagreed with anything they thought ever. That was the problem.
Where are you from again?
I'm from Boston.
Oh.
Which people
upstate, New England. I mean, yeah.
People think of Boston as this like tough guy town, but it's very
it's a bunch of liberal shit.
I think they're talking about South Boston. They're not talking about
maybe
up by Harvard. You had Harvard kids? Did you go? How do you like them apples? To get back at them?
No, I just grew up in a normal suburb. I don't know, it's called Watertown. It's where they found the Boston Marathon bombers. If anyone's wondering. That was a fun time. But yeah, this same thing happened to me where, you know, diversity is great, diversity of everything except for diversity of thought. You know, everything became about identity politics, which to me always felt racist and sexist in and of itself. And if you questioned anything, even a little bit.
Alive.
What'd you say, Kurt?
I was alive, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, if you question anything even a little bit, you're out. They don't want anything to do with. They don't even want to be seen with you. Otherwise, your stink gets on them.
And now you're the woke right who's against Israel.
Well, yeah, now we have the woke right. Exactly. Now we have this exact same thing on the right.
The worst thing I've ever heard, the woke right from James Lindsay, that applies literally to Zionists and nobody else.
Right, yes. And we're going to get into that in the next segment. But
what's controversial about this?
About which thing?
Anything that she said or you said.
Oh, I just wanted to get into it because I found it interesting. I related to it. It went viral. I thought it was interesting because I've dealt with this exact same thing.
Hypocrisy. That's just what we're wired to do. So it just started to just be like, hold on, we don't believe in gender, but we need a female president. You're like, huh? And then it's like,
I mean, that's a perfect example of like a totally logical critique you would make, but you would be ostracized just for saying that. How can we?
You're one of these just asking questions guys. Oh, look who's just asking questions.
Right. Yeah. Well, there you go.
What do you think you are, Socrates?
Right. Exactly. That's what you would get. Like, you can't even say, wait, how is gender over, but the future is female? How are we? Like, you couldn't even say,
man.
like, this doesn't make sense.
That one way back, didn't they?
Yeah. Exactly. They had to walk it back, right?
Feminism. Go fuck yourself, feminism.
Anyway, go ahead. We'll clip that. Kurt.
That's my favorite thing of the whole thing was watching that moronic thing turn on itself. The future is female.
I mean,
I remember when I first heard that and said, what on earth does that mean?
I mean, it's just identity politics. Exactly. I mean, the future is female. I mean, so Candace Owens, is that who you're talking about?
You got to bring back witch burning. That's all I could say.
Again,
hepatitis B.
You're out of the group.
Well, you can, but everybody should just be.
It was a good one, yeah.
You give Andrew Yang another shot. Like, why won't you give? Where did Beto go? Remember Beto O'Rourke?
Okay.
but any more so than any?
Yeah, he's a mess.
How worse than?
No, I mean they're all a mess. Like when you have these blanket progressive ideas, you've attached yourself to an ideology, and that ideology you'll defend because it's your identity. It's you. It's who you are.
See, that's kind of what we were just talking about here, which is like your ideology should not be who you are as a person. These are beliefs. Beliefs should be malleable. You should be able to change what you think if you get new information. But if you're stuck in an ideological cult, you never change your mind. You never grow.
What's Beto's middle name? Male.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know why anybody wants to be friends with them. I'm gonna buy a defense stock, ETF, some other funds. Okay, what are you guys arguing about? Do some comments. The cult stock. Okay, so we got to industry plant. Let's see what Gil's saying. I would get out if I was you. If you are in, there's just a tip I'm giving you from my source. All right. Increase. More and more I lean to the increase in media circus is to stereotype. Dude, it's all a distraction. I'm going to agree with you. Maybe, I don't know. You might be right on that. Probably are. That's the first I'm hearing of it. But you're right. It's all a distraction. That's what they do. Like, hey, argue with your family members about shit that doesn't matter. Like, I don't know, trans indigenous rights in Pakistan. And then a certain amount of people become crazy, right? And it becomes a narco-tyranny. You saw a narco-tyranny playing out in Minneapolis. The cops don't arrest the people, the violent mob beating people up. Again, this was all put in place after the great financial crisis. They saw that both right and left were basically united about what happened with the big banks. Now, had you not subsidized the economy to get the results you want, let the free market play out, there wouldn't have been a problem in 2008 with letting the banks fail. Because those banks took bad bets. right? So everybody sees this. The bankers are getting their bonuses, and the ruling class has to do something. It was under Barack Obama. I forget the name of it, what it was called, but under Barack Obama, he allowed the CIA to propagandize the American public again. Okay? And then that's when you got all of this shit entering the zeitgeist. So it is what it is. It's a distraction. Politics is all a distraction. We're talking about people we don't know, who don't care about us, and they tell us we need to care about them. It's a natural human instinct to look to an authority figure. And that's what they do. They hijack your emotions, your negative emotions, specifically fear. Fear is the most useful emotion to control you. Anger is much harder to control. Sadness is much harder to control. But fear leads to control. So what they're going to do is they're going to use emotion. They're going to get you riled up. Then the media comes on and they give you the narrative. This is the framing of the argument. You hear these words. We don't put them together. Okay, this is the narrative that the TV is going to push. Then the anchor up on the TV has the authority. Okay, then they appeal to your tribe, then back to emotion. So what they're going to do is use negative emotions in the beginning: fear, obligation, and guilt. These are some of the most powerful emotions we have. Okay, that resets your brain. Then they hit you with the framing, the narrative, the authority, it's the TV. Then they appeal to your tribe, and then they use positive emotions to lock in this new narrative. And that's how it works. That's how brainwashing works. Some variety of that. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and say that you just use the acronym FATE and it's always going to be the exact same. But in general, they're going to fog you to get you to pay attention. Then they're going to give you the narrative. The anchor is the authority. Then they go, oh, well, we're good people. We got vaccinated. You want to be a good person, don't you? Then you take the vaccination and then they go, see, what was there really to be upset about? You know what I mean? That was easy. And that's how they do it. That's how they do it in police interrogations. If you watch a police interrogation, it plays out almost the exact same way. There's subtleties in the read technique. You look at advertising, all of it's the same. It's all to distract you. Is in the cult stock, Dave. Just one. Dave, what is this stock? I've never even heard of this. Dave Inc. All right, let's start out. I've never even heard of this stock, dude. I'm going to look at it right now. Dave Inc. Total assets of what? Is this billions? Okay, 433 million in total assets. What are you asking me to pay for? $2.6 billion for 433 million in assets. I don't like it. Let's check some ratios. Outer edge of fair value price to book is too high and your price to sales is too high. What do they even do? What is this stock? Company offers budgets, personal finance with budgeting, extra cash, short-term liquidity, funding, side. I have no idea why you would buy this stock. How much value is this going to create? What's the chart look like? Yep. Ratios. Yeah, no, I don't get this. I mean, it's, yeah, I've never heard of that stock. I don't get it. This is another cult one, Gil? Strongman thought I was joking when I told him I was short, Dave. I'm not getting that stock. I just looked at it. You missed a margin call a few weeks ago on the DL. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, bro. Look, the economy can only do this for so long. Because it's not sustainable, right? If we look at this chart, this can only go on for so long before there's got to be a correction. I point this out. Oh, I'm not showing it. But I'm using NVIDIA's chart just as an example of the stock market. Stock market has returned something like 80% in the past 5 years. Okay? The reason why is because they increased the M2 money supply about 80%. If you look right here, you guys want to see where all this fucking came from? Here, I'm just going to show you. M2 money supply increase between 2020 to 2025. All right, let's look. Massive. All right, so where is it? All right, maybe I need to percentage. I don't remember where I found this, but percentage increase. See if this shitty AI. Okay. So right there, it's increased 44.7%, right? And then let's look at S&P 500 return. So it's increased 44%. S&P 500 return between 2020 and 2025. Yeah, if they would just give me a number, yep, it's about 80%. So that's about twice as much as you should have gotten. And that makes sense. If you go back and you look at your gains, you get about 10.4% return depending on where you're buying, right? So all this, the stock market returns 10%. Yeah, depending on where you're buying. But what I'm saying is you have gotten in the past 5 years about twice the returns that you should. And I've been saying this for a while. If you look here too, show you guys this. M2 money supply chart and S&P 500. All right. I know I'm not doing the best explaining this because I would have to think it out better. But here you go. We're going to bring this up. There you go. There's where your bubble is. Do you see? When I put this up, you guys can clearly see This is the M2 money supply. It's about 22.5 trillion. The total U.S. market, the Wilshire 5000, is worth almost 70 trillion. Okay? How is this possible? Right here is where Buffett started selling. Buffett started selling a lot of stocks in 2023 into the market. So there you go. So like, I'm not surprised that JP Morgan missed a margin call. I didn't know about that, but this is how it goes. It can only, you're talking about numbers, right? And if we come over here, we look at NVIDIA. People can get as mad as you want about this, right? But if you look at it, you have a $4.53 trillion market cap on NVIDIA. And you have $161 billion in total assets. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try and push my views on this on people, but how is that sustainable? Especially since, if we look at the ratios, let's look at the ratios. Your price to sales is 24. In general, it shouldn't be greater than 3. Your price to book is 38. In general, it shouldn't be greater than 4. I'm saying in general because it's going to depend on your growth rate. If you're buying a small cap stock that's a real banger, you can pay a 30, 35, 40, 50 PE ratio. Your PE ratio is 46 here. You're at 5 times the outer limit of your operating cash flow. Why do I say all this? Because it's about growth. Okay? Nobody knows what AI is going to do. If somebody tells you what it's going to do in the future, ask them if they have a crystal ball. This is like saying, I'm going to go, guaranteed, I'm going to go out tonight and bang a 10. Guaranteed? I mean, it's possible if the sun and the moon and the stars line up. But again, remember the tech boom and all the promises they made. The big AI companies are doing vendor financing, which is basically just a circle jerk. I can't predict when the market will wake up to it, but how many more? All it takes is one of the big guys to really start dragging down the market. Imagine if NVIDIA, right? You're looking at however many times assets you're paying there. But imagine if NVIDIA falls. Imagine what that'll do to the market. And when it's that overvalued, all you need is a small catalyst. So NVIDIA starts dropping. People start panicking. They start selling Microsoft. They start selling Apple. People start to panic more. They start selling Tesla. These companies will fall to their assets. And how I can show you this is we're going to do this. Amazon 2010K. So I'm just going to show you what happened with Amazon. All right, let me see if this is it. No. I typed that in 2010K. Total. This guy, 2000. I don't know. This looks like it's from 2001. But I can tell you this. If you find the Amazon 10K from 2000, in 2001, Amazon, when it fell 95%, fell to its total assets. Okay, that's the line. And it might even drop under them, in which case I would tell you to back up the truck and start buying any of these companies. But right now, the market is so overvalued. Again, JP Morgan missed a margin call a few weeks ago on the DL. Okay, well, that's a problem. And it really just takes one catalyst, one black swan. Valid why silver should be at 100 or near 100. No, I don't believe that there is. I started buying silver $50 back in March. And what I would do is I'd just go in like once a month, spend $100 on them. I stopped doing that in about September because they had increased so much. Again, I don't know if this is true, but one of the things I've read, and it seems to check out, is that the S&P 500 usually trades about 2 to 2.5 times gold. You're at about 5,000 right now. I don't know what the price is. Price gold ounce price. You're at $4,709. So, even where we are, either the S&P 500 or the total stock market needs to go up to somewhere around 8 to 9,000, which would be, let me put this in perspective for what I'm telling you. All right? There's about $97 trillion in M2 money supply in the world. Okay? If the S&P 500 goes to 8,000 or 9,000, that's 80 trillion to 90 trillion. You're almost at the entire world's money supply with just the US stock market. What I'm really beginning to feel about this whole thing is I'm really beginning to feel about like Japan did in the 1980s. I know the PE ratio was much higher. The Japanese stock market got up to 60 or 61. But again, I'm just rehashing it. You guys know my positions, but whatever. Current Shiller PE ratio for the S&P 500. It's 40. Right now, as of January 7th, it's 40.94. Okay, it's only been higher than this one time, and that was during the tech bubble. The market is priced high relative to earnings over the last decade. So let's read about this. Nagy must be an idiot. He's not getting it. Stonks just go up. The market is priced high relative to its earnings over the last decade, adjusted for inflation, making it appear expensive. Historical context. The ratios this high were only seen around the dot-com bubble, late 90s. More recently, 2020 to 2022. Okay, in 2022, the market started dropping. And what they did is they jacked up the M2 money supply again, which flooded the market with liquidity. So, the M2 money supply has been jacked up by about 40% in 5 years, and you got a return of 80%. That's twice what you should have gotten. So if we look over here, it's like, why do you think the market's overvalued? Buffett indicator. Taking in everything. Indicator current. Right here. It actually amazes me. It really does. It amazes me that you can just use Google, to find out financial ratios and shit like this, and nobody does it, and they argue incessantly that the market isn't overvalued. But let's look. What's the Buffett indicator? 223 as of Jan 14th, 2026. Peaked above 200% in late 2024, early 2025. Long-term average around 1.59. Okay, that makes sense to me. It is currently above current levels. 200 suggests the market is stretched, with stock values growing much faster than the underlying economy. Buffett suggested that readings near 200, like 1999, 2000, were risky, while 70 to 80% suggested good buying opportunities. I agree with him. Current ratio, strong, outpacing economic growth, with Warren a net seller of stocks recently. You know what? Let's use the price to book. We'll look at the shareholder equity. S&P 500 current book value. I said I put in book value. I'm not going to do the math. All right. Let's look. The ratio is around 5.2 to 5.6, showing an increase from previous quarters. All right. The ratio reflects the market's value. Current levels are significantly above the long-term average, which Guru Focus lists at around 3.86. I would even suggest that's high. I thought I read that it was 2.85 somewhere. Okay. Right? Current S&P 500 price to sales. $3.47. 3.47. Average. $1.81. Significantly above its long-term historical averages, which hover closer to 1.6 to 1.8. So, I mean, no matter what you look at, it's overvalued. So, I mean, why is silver up? I don't know. I mean, here's the problem with bubbles also, too. Certain things can be fair value in a bubble. I don't actually know how to figure out the price, what's a good price for silver. I could probably search around and find out its historical selling price to the S&P 500, but I don't know that off the top of my head. So I think this is people going into commodities. I also think there's massive demand for data centers. Silver's an excellent conductor, so some of that could be at play. Not saying you're bullish on... Bro, I've racked my brain about all of this. And what I think is there's just too much leverage in the system. That's what I think. Gil, I own 3 stocks for the year. That makes more sense. That actually does make a lot of sense. Because that's what they want to do, is they want to dump all of this shit on retail. That's why I'm mostly in T-bills. Just sitting there and is, well, T-bills aren't going to return what the stock market does. Right. But I am sitting there waiting on them. Just sitting on them. And I'm getting cash flow. You're getting a 1.2% dividend. I'm getting 4% to our Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember you were saying it, and I started buying in about March. And again, that's part of my strategy. I'm just going to buy silver coins and gold coins when it comes down in price. I think really what's going to start happening is institutions are going to start dumping. Along with uranium. Yep. I mean, you're right. Yeah, I think so. Good call. I'm down. No, piece of crap keeps going up, but I can wait and add more. Yeah, I mean, I don't short because it's not really something I'm interested in, or I don't even really know anything about shorting. So I stay away from that shit because there's like 200 people in the world that are good at it, and I'm not one of them. Yeah, I would never trade. You get. Yeah. I mean, I only buy individual stocks inside of my Robinhood account for fun, but it is what it is. Give me a second, guys. All right, my bad. I had to run to the bathroom. Sorry. I don't have a young Jamie to edit it. I'm in United. Oh, I don't know, Gil. I bought United Health. I'm still holding it. So I'm up like, what am I up? Like 15 or 20% on it because I bought it below assets. So I'm going to sit on it. Busy to trade. I'm still in. Oh my God. The beta signs. I forgot about. Oh, holy shit. Those are. Yeah. Oh, Beto. Yeah, dude. Beto. Bro. Beto just cracked me up. I was like looking at that dude and I'm like, this guy, like all of these politicians, who are these people? It's become so bizarre to me that I don't even really know what to say. Like, how did what about Beto O'Rourke screamed leader? Like he had a fake name so that he could appeal to the Hispanic community. Yeah, that dude sucks. I'm glad he's gone. He's probably working at some, George Soros funded think tank making $500,000 a year, just sitting in reserve for this demonic billionaire. Is the go-to. Don't or can't back the amount from trading versus bogus pay. And again, as these markets, they increase in value like this, or they increase in price, there's more and more fraud in the system. Do you support them? Yeah, if they don't chill out. I mean, at a certain point, I mean, for me, I don't know how much I would actually call it support. I'm not really hating on it. The reason being is I don't live in Minneapolis. I don't know the true extent of what's going on because what you're watching on the news can be extremely deceiving. So you might think there's this massive riot. It's confined to one small area. But if I was a resident of Minneapolis, I would 100% support them doing the Insurrection Act. You can't have this. My real question is, though, who's funding it? It's not organic, right? Don't you find it weird that we went through this 6 years ago and now we're going through it again? Does anybody find that weird? Right. Somebody's funding those people because there's a lot of paid agitators. Jay, will you? No, I will never invest in a hedge fund. Is Fabio starting a hedge fund? I remember learning about hedge funds when I was going to school for finance, and the professor basically mocked them. And I go, why would anybody do this? And they go, he looks at me and he goes, rich people that don't know what they're doing. Yeah, no, there's going to be no point. I don't believe in the long run any hedge fund will outperform the market either. The problem is, there's a problem with Berkshire Hathaway now. It's too large. It just becomes harder and harder to move the needle. I would almost, again, they have so much money, $350 billion in assets, or in cash, that it limits what they can buy. And this becomes a problem. The fast growth usually comes from the smaller companies. And this is another thing with the S&P 500 that a lot of people have gotten distorted on. When you look at the returns that these large companies have allegedly gotten just because the price went up, how much did their revenue actually increase? You know, when you look at something like Microsoft, look at Microsoft real quick. Income. Their revenue is really not jumping, okay? So, I mean, if we look at the return, the past, does that seem normal to you guys? For a company, right, that's $1 trillion company before this. Microsoft is probably currently growing not that fast, and you're paying an operating cash flow of 23, price to free cash flow of 43, your price to book 9.42, price to sale, right? All these numbers are stupid. And let's look at the important one. $3.42 trillion market cap. Total assets of about $636 billion. Okay, so you're 5 times, you're almost 6 times its assets. That is too much to pay for a company this large because it is not going to grow fast enough to justify that. Okay, so I would be highly, if you look at Microsoft's CAGR, I know this isn't the best metric, but with 15 to 18% revenue. Okay, but what is that to the bottom line? I would need to go figure that out. All right, 18% in earnings per share. Who cares about earnings, right? So if we just go the past 14 years, you have a 14.3% CAGR. All right, that is really high because of what's happened recently. But even if I plug that in to 15% growth to the bottom line. 15% growth, you double about every 4 years. Okay? So that's saying Microsoft's price doesn't even come down just to match where it is. So everything works perfect. So you're looking at 4 years at about 1.72 billion. At 8 years, you're looking at 2 point, you're looking at 2 point fucking, what did I say? 12.73. Looking at about 25, you're looking at about 2.5 trillion in 8 years. So it's going to take you 10 years just to break even on your money at that point. So again, I don't think hedge funds are going to beat the market. So heavily, you think it's being suppressed? Maybe. I don't know that much about the silver market. I just know I was buying coins, throwing them in my fireproof safe because I'm a stacker. I'm not really going to look too big into the gold market, the precious metal market, because I'm only looking at 5 to 10% of my portfolio, and that is what it is. So, it's squeezed cash flow. It's Saturday. Yes, they think it has a lot more to go up. What are they? Dave Inc. Are they trading on liquidity? What are they doing? All right, what are they doing? Overview. What's the float? I'm not going to do this right now. I have to go look. Volume. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get Dave Inc. I really don't. Okay, I'll do that, but I'm going to get through these comments, so I'll probably look at it later after I get off of here, because it's 12:30. I've been live streaming for an hour and 22 minutes, but I will look at it. Not sure what they... Yeah, I'm looking at Dave, and I'm just not seeing it. I'm really not. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know if they're looking at it through the lens of a day trader. But again, you have 433 million in assets. Okay? It's not necessarily 2.62 billion is not necessarily too much to pay, but you're basically 5 times assets. The reason why I said that is because it's a small cap. But again, okay, are they looking at the revenue increase right here? But how long is this sustainable? So I don't know. I'll look at it more, but I don't know what they're seeing. That was just a quick look. I don't get the rush to buy stocks in an overvalued market. Dave just seemed predatory. Membership fees, express fees for transfers over. Yeah, that's not sustainable. Yeah, that's just not sustainable. So again, I wouldn't buy it, but whatever. You can be wrong. I could be wrong. Went out with a tall girl climbing trees. That's why I like her. I said I like climbing trees. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, dude, Dunkin' Donuts next to my house is getting on my fucking nerves, man. They keep asking me for a tip. And I'm like, fuck off. I'm not going to come to your store anymore. That's called Snoo Snoo. Great Futurama reference. Not sure what. Yeah, I don't get it. Allegedly, actually, is needed to forward all this tech about to bust on the scene. No, yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you there. That's why I said, it could be data centers that's driving it up. I'm just really not that educated on the precious metal market. I'm learning a little bit here and there. But again, I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with it. I just had a price in my head. Could be incorrect or correct. And that's why I stopped buying them at this point. So I'm just going to hold and wait. And maybe silver comes down. Maybe it doesn't because of the needs of tech. But again, do you need silver over copper? Which metal do you need? So copper isn't necessary. You can't find copper anymore. Oh, I know, bro. Bro, I have a copper bucket at my house. When people leave, shit out at the dump or out in front of their house before garbage pickup, I'll walk over and take their microwave, bring it in here. I'll cut the cords off, pull the copper out. It is what it is. And then I throw it in a copper bucket. What's crazy is that. Yep. Well, look at how much shit The Simpsons has predicted. And you go, is it really a prediction? But again, truth is stranger than fiction. So, no, that doesn't surprise me at all. It's like a lot of these video games are bound to get something right in the future. Pennies. I don't think. No, I don't. Cal, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but what I'm saying to you is every metric is telling you the stock market's overvalued. I don't go off of just, PE ratio. But it doesn't, PE ratio is a poor test. I don't know if you're talking about stocks or not, but I don't have time on my channel to just really sit there and look at everything. I mean, I could, but it would be boring as fuck for you. Not that this is really that exciting anyways, but they're just, all those ratios are just tools that you look at. And basically for me, they're an elimination tool. If things are too high, because you have to look at it like this. When you look at operating cash flow, you're looking at how many dollars are you spending on a dollar of to get a dollar of their cash flow. So you're spending $10 to get a dollar of the operating cash flow. So they do inform you, but there's no single thing. Warren Buffett, definitely. But yeah, there's no single thing that's going to tell you. And even but it depends on how you're looking at it too. I tend to look at things through what assets am I buying and how much I'm paying for it. So then the financial ratios, if I could talk, do inform you. Because I can basically guess now if I'm around assets from looking at that stuff so much. For Beta O'Cuck, I agree. I think when Trump talks cartels, it's a broad strokes that include banking institutions like what's a cartel without banks or cartels? They wash and, oh yeah. Oh, 100%, man. The big banks have been busted numerous times. JP Morgan was busted laundering money for the cartels. HSBC was busted laundering money for the cartels. So yeah, no, listen, when people talk about taxes, you will always pay a cartel. Now, if I was in Mexico and the cartel leader tells me I need to pay him, I don't know, $100 a month, right? It's basically just taxes. The cartel, the American government, they're telling me I'm going to pay them money and I don't have a choice, or men show up at my house and put me in handcuffs. So, I mean, you're always going to pay a cartel. It just, yeah. I actually think that a lot of the drug cartels there's a lot of CIA assets in there. It's my personal opinion, but I can't prove it. You know, I try to be clear when I'm talking speculation and when I think something's correct, but, you know, I'm just speculating on what's going on with the cartels there, but I do think there's a lot of fuckery behind the scenes. The irony of the Minnesota people. Yeah, well, you know, if you believe the government's tyrannical, you know, I was talking to a liberal about that. I go, you think the Trump administration is, tyranny? Well, yeah. Okay, so why do you want the government to control the guns then? So one thing I just never got. Even though I see what these people are doing in Minneapolis, I still wouldn't change the gun laws. I'm not gonna be for changing those, even if somebody I don't like has a gun. Yeah, no, there's a whole bunch of irony. Tim Walz complaining about ICE being tyrants. Tim Walz had his cops shoot people with pepper balls if they weren't in their houses in Minneapolis during COVID. He's just mad that he's a tyrant and he got caught. Smart man. Thank you. I don't know how smart I really am. Kind of think I'm just an idiot whinging on the internet, but it is what it is. It's all going to depend on the AI. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, and I'm not going to rush into hype because, again, there's too many questions for me on what's going on with the AI companies, with the vendor financing and all that. To me, none of this makes sense. And I think, like, you know, Warren Buffett, obviously everybody brings him up, but he had a great point when he said, well, if I don't understand something, I just don't do it. I don't buy it. And again, that's what I'll say about these large tech companies. I don't understand what they're doing. I don't understand what AI is going to do. You know, I'm not a computer scientist. And all these people keep telling me what AI is going to do. And I just keep looking at them and I go, I've heard all this before. I heard it in 2000 with the internet. I heard all of that. I keep hearing hype. Where do you think the hype comes from? Comes from Wall Street. So you'll buy overvalued equities. But yeah, everybody's paying a premium, but the premium can be too high. Trump knows all about the obscene amounts of naked shorting, especially on his stock, Trump Media, which recently merged with an energy company. That's hilarious. I didn't know that happened either. But anyways, guys, I just want to thank everybody for hanging out, listening to me whinge on the internet. Just want to say I'll be back next Sunday. I hope you guys have a great week, and I want to wish you guys a lot of love. Hope everything works out for you. And I'm about to be out, so tune in Sunday if you don't have anything to do. I'll be here, whining about whatever's going on in the world. So thanks for the views, guys, and y'all have a great night.